This is the Atwater Kent Model 35, and we'll take a look around this radio. Here is the emblem that's on the top of this radio. This is on the back, and you can see it says Model 35, and it was patented in 1924. This is the speaker connection that is on the back of the radio. And this is the antenna and ground connection for the radio. And here I have labeled all these wires, and they all connect to a battery eliminator. Originally, of course, they would have attached to several batteries. Now let's take a look at the inside of this radio. Here's the underside of the radio, of course. And I want to point out there's the 6 1As. And here's the tank circuit coils right here. Notice how they're positioned. This one up and down, this one in and out, and this one is positioned this way. And they did that so these 3 coils would have the minimum effect on each other, or interference. And here's the 3 tuning capacitors for the tank circuits right there. And the big deal back in 1924, maybe a little earlier, maybe a little later, is one knob tuning. All 3 of these are ganged together, and I can't show you how they're ganged together because there's a black partition over the mechanism, and I'm not going to take it apart because this thing's been working for 100 years, and we'll just leave it alone. But look how it operates. These 2 work together. Well, they all work together, but this one works in the opposite direction, but they're still giving out the same capacitance, each one of them. Very interesting. This is the wiring diagram of the Atwater Kent Model 35. It has 3 tank circuits for tuning. And when the radio station frequencies hit the antenna, they're all sent to the first grid. It's amplified and sent to the first RF coils, and on the other side is the tank circuit, which refines the signal, amplifies it, sends it to the next RF coil, and then the tank circuit refines it again, and it's amplified and sent to the next RF coil and tank circuit, which refines it one more time. Now we have pretty much just a radio station signal at this point, and it looks something like this. RF modulation from the radio station frequency itself. There's no conversion or anything. This is directly from the radio station. This capacitor isolates the next grid from the RF coil or tank circuit. And we have a grid leak resistor, which is parallel to the grid in this drawing, and it's about 3 meg ohms. And what that allows us to do between the filament and the grid is cut this signal in half. If you look at the first modulation, cut that in half, and you've got about the same amount of energy at the top and bottom. So if you try to detect that, you can't, because it's the same amount above the line, positive, and below the line, negative. So it cancels each other out. Now this tube that cuts it in half, it no longer adds up to 0, and now you can detect it. Now, this capacitor that's below the first audio tube drains off the RF signal, and of course that tube amplifies the audio, passes it to the first audio transformer, then the next tube amplifies this audio, sends it to another audio transformer, and the last tube now amplifies the signal, and they're showing a earphone here, and now you can hear the station. We're going to be using a Music Master horn to demo this radio. Here's our setup for the demonstration. The radio has been connected to an antenna, and the power has been connected to a battery eliminator, and the speaker connection is to this Music Master horn speaker. Alright, I've got this hooked up to our masterpiece speaker, and it's during the day and I don't have a outside antenna. All I've got is a few alligator clips together, but we still should be able to pick up a little something. So turn that on and pull this out. And I heard something out of the speaker. That's good. Alright. Yeah, we're only going to get the 2 local stations.
It's an executive order that said in industries involved in the war or in federal matters, you could not discriminate. That was the beginning of civil rights laws. And how did Byard find you? When I think
Well, that's it.
met in
During the day, and with a pretty short antenna. Yep, that's it. But it still works. Oh, wait a minute, there's another station.
Disciple that person. Wonderful. Praise God. That's glorious. But here's the problem. We are losing more ground than we are gaining. Over the last generation, the world has changed the church more than the church has changed the world.
Okay.
Years ago.
Yeah, this was the Big Cell in 1924.
Big success.
One knob tuning.
I was actually a paid organizer for the March on Washington. I remember that brownstone in Harlem from which we organized the march. And when I say paid, I have to tell you what I did. Essentially, we were organizing buses, answering phones when people who, after all, had never been to a mass march, answering phones as to where to go, how to catch a bus.
I'm glad it still works. 100 years. Thanks for watching.